What's good, people? It's your boy, Icarus Gray. And this right here is another episode of Gray Area Anime. Gray Area Anime.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Anime. So, this is a discussion episode. I don't know what else to call it. We'll figure out. We got names for all these segments. We'll figure out one for this one. The essentials. This ain't really essential.
No.
Oh wow, too much essential stuff going on. That word, I feel like it's been overused.
Let's not continue the overuse.
Good point. So what we're going to talk about today is anime, we're going to talk about anime, obviously. But
that's why you're here.
But we're going to talk about cartoons, American cartoons that we wish were anime.
Yes.
Because whether or not they would have been more impactful, or seeing it from a different design style, or something being taken more seriously, it would have been all good. So I think we'll go back and forth on like different suggestions and stuff. Did you want to go first? Ladies first. I can be nice.
You can be sometimes, can't you? My goodness.
Okay. You can now proceed to answering the actual question.
Right. So my first up is going to be Batman, the animated series from the 1990s. This would have been the one that we grew up with. And I think it would have been a really great anime. Still probably would be a great anime. I know there are some recent, as you were mentioning earlier, and as I saw scrolling around on the internet earlier, that there have been a few recent anime attempts or anime films.
They just did
it was like Batman Ninja, I think was one.
Yeah, they just did a film where it's like he basically ended up in feudal era Japan, and it was made, it is an anime.
That
so
is creepy.
like the Joker did time travel. It's really good. I haven't seen it yet, but
I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
But I mainly think that would have been a good anime because of the, like, one thing that I liked about a lot of the cartoons at the time, I feel like they were talking about some pretty deep stuff, some pretty deep issues during that time period, at least deep for some children to be thinking about. I mean, when you think about X-Men at the time, watching that, I mean, as a kid, you ain't really think about, racism and all those big things. But when it came to Batman, I think the meditations, at least that I pulled from that as a child, were loneliness and like mad despair. Because one of the episodes I was talking about earlier, and I may have mentioned this on the show before, was the episode where Harley Quinn is like doing all this stuff for the Joker. And I cannot remember exactly the way that it ends. I just remember the feeling, because that was the one episode that you knew the Joker did not care for her. He was not coming for her. He was not saving her. She was a pawn, even though she was incredibly in love with this crazy man, which, we all know she insane, but still, like, that to me was, oh my God, like nothing hit harder for me as a child more than unrequited love or loneliness, which makes sense because I was a kid. But that, like, I feel like anime is a really great medium for meditating on deeper kind of emotions and more difficult subject matter sometimes. And it's just, I don't know, taken a little bit more seriously than a cartoon in some ways. So that's definitely one of my picks.
Oh. Okay. Seeing where we're going. But I don't know. That one's difficult for me, and I think maybe because of the subject matter and thinking about, like, it's hard for me to take it out of the context of what it was for the time that we were watching it.
Yeah.
Just because,
which I think is important. The context for the time is important. At least in terms of what was going on in America and that sort of thing. Like, I think that's important too.
But I also think that it was different because, like, a lot of the time, the impact of certain episodes like that one or the one, there's another one, I think, where like a kid gets a gun or they have guns or something in there. Because no one, I think, ever was shot or there was no blood or there was something there that wasn't there. So a lot of the time it felt realistically unrealistic, in the sense that there were real issues that they were dealing with, but not in the real world way. In the sense that at the end of it, if you were like casually watching or doing whatever, it's the same thing like with G.I. Joes. You're in the middle of a war and somehow you're shooting down planes and everybody has a parachute kind of thing.
Which is, you know, yeah, G.I. Joe's,
and that's what I meant by
early video games, yeah.
So that's why I think that some of the impact wouldn't hit as hard, because there were so many filters still to that.
I guess.
And it was authentic and real, but like, I think in the context of the time period specifically, doing an anime then is where I'm putting it. Like, you know, a modern anime, I think they would have done really great with it. Yeah. But then I feel like they would have just tried to be too gritty for what it was, and it wouldn't have been the noir-esque style that I think it deserves and heralded for that time. That's why it was like, it's one of the few that I think served its actual purpose.
I agree with that. I would still like to see it, but I agree with that.
But that, I think that's the only reason why it's like hard for me to see it as an anime, that one specifically. Just because they were, like you said, they were taking risks that a lot of other cartoons were not. No cartoon I've ever known has taken an actual look at domestic violence or that kind of relationship, where for all intents and purposes that was the most toxic relationship showing that had been thus far. You know, like even in the X-Men with their will they won't they to triangle Cyclops Wolverine Jean crap, it wasn't this, you know, like you felt it, but it just felt 90s R&B video, you know, 90s pop video, you know, like sitting alone on the bench and
but I was like a very emotional kid. I wasn't necessarily emo, I wasn't dark like that, but I was a pretty emotionally like aware child. So yeah, things like that really always affected me. Yeah.
And it makes sense. Because it was, like I said, it pulled a lot of emotions out. That entire series did. But that's a good pick. Like I said, it's hard for me to kind of see it, but I see it for what it could have been, and I definitely see it for how you illustrated it. First off the board for me is I'm gonna go Doug.
Which I just don't like. Why? Why Doug?
Well, you don't like Doug. So
well, I'm not saying I don't like Doug. I like Doug. I'm not like, when Doug was on, I was really waiting on it to go off so I could watch Pepper Ann. That was around the time that, and I mean Pepper Ann or Fillmore. That's another pick. Moving on.
Backing away, like it's just you had to get in all your other picks before I finished.
No, it was a stream of thought. I wasn't expecting that to surprise me.
Of your explanation, and I didn't even get 5 seconds into mine.
I was gonna let you get in yours. It just happened. I wasn't ready for it. It surprised me.
But I chose Doug because I think those slice of life school animes are just amazing, and so you give me those characters and how pivotal they were and how multiracial they were, and even if they were different colors, you know, it was still huge for what the time was. And so you give me a Roger Klotz like different, you give me Patty Mayonnaise and Doug in this a real will they won't they anime style,
and Skeeter,
like, you know, and at that point in time, you know,
Skeeter was like the black boy, wasn't he?
Yeah, Skeeter's black. He was blue, Skeeter's black, Patty's mixed, I think Roger's black or Italian or something.
I just remember when I was a kid, all the black boys identifying with Skeeter the most.
But strange. That would be mine because you just give it a lot of depth. Yeah. It was one of the few animes I think transitioned into growing up a little bit better.
You mean cartoons?
Yeah. So they went to, you know, BB Bluff High School at some point. Yeah. And while it wasn't, I think, as genuine as maybe the first series, it was at least a good go. But I think that if you give that to anime, they do that transition between middle school and high school well. So you give me these different characters that are dealing with all of these funny things. Like the liver and onions episode would have been completely different as an anime. Like the liver and onions would have been some monster in his brain, and it would have like felt deeper. I think the inner monologue stylings of anime would have given more depth to it. Like Quail Man would have been like One Punch Man or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just, it would be just, I should say, really cool to kind of see that school aspect heightened in the way that Japanese anime does it.
I think that's a good choice. I mean, I hadn't thought about it from the slice of life perspective, but I think that would actually be a really interesting thing to see. Again, especially for the time period. Should I go on with my pick, or did you have more?
You should have seen like his. I just randomly I'm thinking about other characters like in the anime style, like his sister.
Yeah,
been hilarious.
Oh yeah,
just in general, because she would have been like, I'm trying to think of like if we're apples to apples changing it to like fit, just making it anime versus taking that anime and then making it like, you know, Japanese cultures and all these different things. Like, so like with Doug, I'm changing it a little bit, but I don't know how much I should change it. But maybe we'll think about that now. I mean, like actually break these uniforms.
That'll be, yeah, I mean, like the way they dress, that'll be changed.
Oh, definitely. All the way they dress all the way they dress in each of these animes will be changed. Like, you know, it wouldn't be a regular bat suit. It wouldn't even been the classic bat suit from then.
I mean, that's a really good. I just wonder.
It depends. Depends on what kind of style they would have went for. Maybe we'll try and come back around and think about some styles, but the genres I think are more easier to kind of attach to. But you can go ahead with your next pick. All
right. So Fillmore, when I said it earlier,
no idea what that is.
Actually would have been a really good pick. That wasn't my next pick, but I'm going to go with it. Fillmore was one of those Saturday morning cartoons that came on ABC. So it came on around the same time as Pepper Ann and Recess and all that. It was about a little black boy who was like the cop on campus at like in his school. Like it was like a middle school. And he was like, let me make sure, because I'm pretty certain that's the name of it. And he was just like, he was a little detective. And he was solving detective crimes on the campus. Now, what's interesting about that, in me saying that, is that I know there are anime where there are like these child detectives, but usually they're in these adult situations, you know, or they're solving kind of more adult crimes. I think it would have just been funny and kind of interesting to see that on within a middle school context, you know, like just genuinely.
All I can say is yes, I've never seen it, so I don't even know how to add any seasoning to the conversation. I'm bland over here because I don't know anything.
Yeah. So it's centered on a reformed juvenile delinquent, Cornelius Fillmore, and his partner Ingrid Third, members of the safety patrol at X middle school. That's the general plot. And I feel like that would just you have this goth girl as his partner and this black boy, and it would just be really interesting.
I know what you're talking about now. It just hit my head because I think I remember the one episode that I think they like have as a meme where it's the black kid with the black glasses,
or with the glasses, with the circle glasses. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. I'm remembering the classic episode where he like tells the girl something like, "Well, I'm gone. I don't want to be with you," or something he
ridiculous.
Says. But I think you're probably drawing like a kind of case closed but funny, all the way through, like without getting too serious.
In a cute, funny way.
So you can mix in some of those, you know, some of the stuff that I think that I took from Doug and making it like their school slice of life. That's
exactly what I was thinking, but maybe
just the school setting is
like a chibi level.
That might be funny.
You know what I mean? Like that level of little people taking themselves that seriously. Not to say that middle schoolers are little, because obviously we know they're not
anymore.
Good Lord. Anyways.
I don't know what's going on nowadays.
It's the chicken.
So my next pick, were you done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My next pick is Danny Phantom. Now, granted, this would technically be Bleach. Like, this is literally what it would be. But I just think there's a lot of cool things that they can do.
Yeah.
Especially, like, I would want it, and this is like a little bonus throw in, if they tie that in with the fairly odd parents.
Fairly Odd Parents, yeah.
Oddly fair parents. Fairly Odd Parents. They tied that in with that universe.
Yeah.
Because,
which
same
the animation
creator,
style is the same. Yeah.
That would have been really dope to me because, like, you could see that in anime and him solving all these different crimes and stuff as a ghost.
Yeah.
It's literally Bleach or even Yu Yu Hakusho. Like,
yeah.
There's literally mad examples of what Danny Phantom is, and I just think they could have taken it to the next level because he actually took that cartoon serious to me. In terms of the way he built it up, because he has a huge following from Fairly Odd Parents, and even that I think he took fairly serious. For the most part, I mean, it was Fairly Odd Parents, but like these moments in Danny Phantom just felt cool. It felt like oh my god, because not Kazam. I'm trying to think of the guy who got Freakazoid. There we go.
Freakazoid. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I knew it was gonna fall to me. But this was just it would be really cool to kind of see that kind of style, to see how they could do it, because that it would be a world full of like all the different Onis and different folklore and all these different things. The relationship between him and his best friend Sam would be different. And everything would just feel a little bit more foundationally good.
And what's interesting? Well, looking at this, it says Danny Phantom. You know what it's qualified as?
What?
A romance.
Huh. I can see it.
That's what it's called. That's its qualification. That's really interesting.
Honestly see it. But that would be another one that I think would be really, really good. You don't have to go too serious. You don't have to go, like we were saying earlier. The thing is not to go too serious. It's just to kind of smooth out those fine edges that were Nickelodeon made. Like, it just makes it more, it gives it a little bit more meat, gives it a little bit more substance to the whole thought process. It gives them a medium that they can work from, because they're all trying to say something. And I think that's a lot of what we're saying is, if those creators had been given a little bit more freedom, a little bit more leeway, like anime has for their viewers, they would have done so many different things. But yes.
Okay.
Your pick.
So my last pick is going to be, wait for it, Powerpuff Girls. Now, I understand.
There's technically one.
I'm going to look right now to make sure.
You never look. There's technically one. I was going to tell you that, by the way.
I love.
It's like Powerpuff Girls X, I think.
I'm gonna have to watch that. But that, now the way that they, now I know, no, it's Powerpuff Girls Z.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. Now I'm gonna watch this, but I mean, and I'm gonna see whether or not it holds up to like the original Powerpuff Girls.
I'm pretty sure it's more of what you wanted, actually, or what you're actually saying. So you might have already gotten exactly what it is.
Well, I may have, because Powerpuff Girls would, I think, fall into the magical girl kind of well, within that sphere. Only because I know they were born that way. They were made that way.
Well, I think this would fall more Astro Boy.
Okay.
Mega Man-ish.
Yeah.
Not dystopian. Well,
no,
because both are kind of dystopian, but you get what I'm saying.
But
and it actually probably would be, if you think about it.
I don't think they live in a dystopian world, though.
They don't, because they're there.
Yeah. I mean, but because they're there, Mojo Jojo is there as well, and so is him.
Rowdy Rough Boys, my favorite aspect of the show.
Him is your favorite?
Rowdy Rough Boys.
Oh, Rowdy Rough Boys. Yeah, no.
That was like,
I hate those guys.
The most hilarious thing in the world. That like as soon as you hear the intro,
you know what it is. Like sugar, someone's gonna do it.
But I never thought they would do
puppy snails,
and puppy dog tails.
Yeah,
like I never thought like you fit it in your brain. So when they do it, it was really cool. So I think, I mean, Powerpuff Girls might be what you're kind of looking for, but I don't know. But like, I do see where you're coming from with that.
I just think it would be a really good, like I am going to check it out. From the way that it's drawn, it looks like it's very bright. And that's exciting. But I feel like it really could have been, I wouldn't be mad at seeing like a darker take on Powerpuff Girls. I know I don't want to take away the humor because I love the humor. It's my favorite part about the show.
I mean, anime allows for humor. It's just,
I know, but I'm just thinking about like that crime solving aspect of like, was it him? Was it Mojo Jojo? Like I kind of like that. Like it would be, for me, it would be a mix between,
because you know what
that noir style we were talking about with Batman and that comic. Like I could totally see that.
You are taking one of my favorite cartoons down in the mud there.
I'm sorry, I'm not like, trying to. But that's just
like
how
in my head
I
could see them.
I mean, even if it's for just an episode, I can totally see that. I think it would be amazing. I do. I'm sorry, I do.
No, that's not. See, stop guessing my thoughts and let me speak my thoughts, woman.
I'm not guessing. I was just saying.
No, you were saying to me. I think,
man,
that they would have done. They would have done Mojo Jojo in like a.
He would have been a crazed.
It would have been a
like
crazed
actual,
gorilla that like had a.
I don't think that's
bad
necessary.
Experience, and he was a chimpanzee, but they would have made him like.
What I think of?
They would have done that. They would have done like him would have been a. Anyway, him would.
We don't have to talk about him.
Him would have been complicated as AF.
Here's what I'm thinking: Mojo Jojo is likely going to look like that gorilla on. If anybody's played the Easter egg, the secret game on what is it called? Call of Duty. When you unlock, I think it was Call of Duty Black Ops 2, you unlock the secret game and you went on this like zombie shoot 'em up island thing. It was third person.
Oh, the safari.
With the with the man.
Why did
with
we play that?
Because I loved it. With the
we definitely played that.
We should play it again. It's freaking awesome. Yes, but the monkey that had the chicken. And it had this cybernetic eye.
Yeah, no,
that's kind of what I think they would
like,
do.
It just literally popped in my head. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think that would be great. That would be hilarious.
Funny. They would have done that, and they would have they would have done so many. It would just be weird.
Yeah,
and I don't want the Powerpuff Girls in a situation where fan service is involved. That's just gonna.
Well, no. I wouldn't take it that far. I don't think that Powerpuff Girls should have fan service. It's
what
Powerpuff
I'm telling
Girls.
you is that in your creation of getting it darker, there's.
It
fan
doesn't
service.
have to be. No, I've seen darker anime with girls and they don't have fan servicing. Okay.
But I could see that one. I don't know. I feel like with that one, I might not go lighter. There's a happy medium there that I think is like that keeps that humor. Like I wouldn't stay chibi style because I think that's kind of too close to the original.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't do chibi. I'd draw.
But I'd figure something out there. Whether it's maybe start in a lab kind of thing, and the professor was a part of a group of scientists. And he didn't like what it was they were doing, so he got the girls out of there.
Yeah.
And now they're on the run kind of thing. And then we'll see that every one of the villains is a creation that's like was sent for them kind of thing. Like that I could kind of see. It makes it a little bit more grounded, but gives it that depth of, okay, well now you guys are kind of here to save the world kind of thing. Without it being dystopian, because I just...
Yeah, I don't want it to be dystopian. I don't think it has to be dystopian in order for it to be gritty. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be gritty. I just mean, and by darker, I think I mean more serious.
What I meant
a little
in terms
bit more
of
serious.
Dystopian, and why I keep adding it is more so when you're adding superheroes in that kind of sense. Majority of the time, like I said, something goes wrong or something went wrong, or the reason we're doing this is because
it's a dystopian society.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I got you.
But that's a good one. Last pick for me.
Okay.
And this is my fully not joke one, but more well-rounded. Rugrats.
Okay.
Like, you give me their adventures.
Which one? Them is babies?
Yes.
I think of Beelzebub. I'm just saying like that level of drawing, like you have this cute, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of that level of cuteness, but
or the
still
kind of. Yeah. I see what you're saying. I'm talking more like you give their monologues more meanings. You give those episodes, you know, where they're talking to themselves, and you add in those like those Japanese cuts where it's like doom doom doom, and then he thought, you know, whatever. And you like kind of build on that, and you build on all of these different relationships, and you're able to just illustrate what they went through in that childish way a little bit better. And it's funnier because it's like it doesn't seem so like, because it can seem more comical. It won't just like when we go back and watch the Rugrats now, I'm more like, what the hell were y'all doing? Like, why were y'all not watching?
Why were they alone?
Kids?
Yeah, so much. And then they sent Angelica to watch them, which was like the worst decision. But you know what would be messed up though? I'm not even gonna front. If they did an anime version of Rugrats, the one episode I would be terrified of is Chucky's episode where he's talking about the crap he's scared of. And like Chucky's like, I feel like there was like monsters under the bed.
The clowns.
Yes. Oh my gosh, no. Not here for
it. Just depends. It depends. Because like I said, this is the more comical way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because you know they had that, and they could do that wholesome thing really well. In a way that I think would have made it shine. And definitely All Grown Up would not have been terrible.
I just don't think that
they could. And the thing was, it's like, but you just needed to keep the monologues. You just needed to give that imagination that they had a new place. You basically turn it from Rugrats where they're kids and they're acting out their imaginations and you see them in this world to Inside Out. You build on the inner emotions and all these different things. Clarissa explains it all. Yeah. In a certain way, or you just kind of you give them more depth as characters, because like I still remember, you know, the Rugrats movie or Rugrats in Paris and what those could have been anime wise in terms of like understanding that Chucky has issues, you know, and not knowing how to feel about that. In the sense of his mom dying, and now having this new mom that he doesn't really want, and this new sibling, in the same way that Tommy and Dill had to kind of come to, or Tommy had to come to grips with the fact that you're not the center of attention in the way that all kids do. Which is why I still say, random shout out to Boss Baby. Boss Baby is the movie you should have all of your kids watch before you have another kid, if they're old enough to.
Boss Baby's good
to kind of get.
Oh yeah, because that young man.
It was the perfect representation of what that transition for them may be like, and I mean they might not get it right off the bat, but it's there and it's really good.
Maybe I went through it.
Random, but. Rugrats would just be really good to me. Yeah, I just think that they could like build a lot of different avenues for exploration. Like Susie
was the bomb.com. You hear me?
You know, like
the favorite hero of every little black girl. Susie was the one.
Yeah, like Susie would have been Susie Carmichael. Like what?
Come on.
Like what?
The only one to put Angelica in her place was Susie.
No games, but we do. That was a nice little nod, and I liked it. Yeah. It was just like, no. We don't,
Angelica. That's not okay.
It's not okay, and we don't get to do that.
Right.
We don't have that kind of.
She would have helped the babies. Like, yeah, Susie was cool.
But yeah, I just, I don't know. That's when I picked. It's like the first one that like popped into my head. When I thought about doing this episode was that, and how like enhanced certain cartoons would be if you gave them an anime treatment, if you gave them the chance to mature. That's why, like, because the two connecting points between, you know, two of my picks, Doug and Rugrats, is the growth that both of them tried to display, and having that kind of avenue for them to, you know, go a little bit better. But Anyway, I think that's about.
That about wraps it up.
I think about wraps it up.
All right,
that's a
well
good
then.
one. And do you think?
All right. So if you would like to follow Icarus, you can follow him on Twitter at Icarus Gray. You can also follow him on Instagram at Icarus_Gray. You can follow me on Twitter at Prima Diva. And you can also follow me on on Instagram at Prima Diva Red.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next week on 1 and 2. And peace.